lot's happened since yesterday!
Welcome to another episode of A Lot's Happened Since Yesterday.
What's up?
What? My name is Cody Walker.
And I'm Ralph Busso.
And today, my friends...
Our guest is Jason Meudt. What's up, Jason?
That was the most...
Hey, what's up, Cody, Ralph? How you guys doing? Good to talk to you, man.
That was the most awkward introduction I think we've ever done in the history of the show.
No, it was fun. It was fun to me, dude. I don't know what you were going through, but no, I liked it.
I did. How you doing, Jason?
Good, man. I'm glad to be on here, man, and talking to other people. You know, it's always a nice thing. Even though it's over a phone, it's still a very nice feeling.
How's everything been going on with the COVID situation for you? I mean, you're out in the Chicago area, right? So,
sure.
What's that like over there?
Yeah, I'm a suburb outside of Chicago, but yeah, you know, you say Chicago just because it's easier. But no, it's, you know, we're doing what everybody else is. You know, we're doing keeping our distance with the masks and everything. And you know, since there's really not playing out, I really haven't done too much. We have done shows during COVID, but very well protected. And but I work from home, so I always have, or for quite a few years. So it really hasn't changed too much, and my fluctuation in work really hasn't changed much either. So I'm thankful that, you know, I'm still keeping, you know, busy, you know, during all this crap.
Right. Well, let's talk about your career. First of all, everybody, Jason's a drummer, a very excellent drummer.
Oh,
and
thanks.
he was in a band called Emperors and Elephants, and they were signed to the label that my band is on, Pavement Entertainment. And excellent band, you got to check them out. There's a big story behind that, though, isn't there?
Oh yeah.
I want to talk about it, but before we get into that, let's talk about where you started. I mean, what got you started into drumming and becoming a musician?
Sure. Boy, I mean, I've always, you know, I guess I might date myself here, but, you know, the first time I heard and saw Kiss play, you know, that was it. It was all over. I'm like, this is real, you know, and I always liked, you know, the Make Up the Fire, the story behind it, you know, God of Thunder, all that. But what really got, you know, and I always was a big Peter Criss fan playing drums, but really what got me fueled is the first time I seen Kiss on the video, I Love It Loud, Creatures of the Night album, and Eric Carr, the drummer, had double bass, two basses, not one, two bass drums on top of a tank blowing up. And just freaking Gene Simmons just in your face. I'm like, I want to do that. And Eric Carr's I was always looked up for him. I was fortunate enough to, before he passed, to see him many times. I've always followed him. I never got to meet him. That's one guy. I met a few guys in Kiss, but that's one guy I wish so much I got to meet him. I met his girlfriend once at an Eric Carr convention, and I just told her a story. She started crying because I just poured my heart out about how much I missed him and loved him, and I never met the guy. But yeah, I would say, you know, Kiss was a damn big influence.
A huge influence on you. Well, let me ask you this, just because I gotta ask.
Sure.
When it comes to Kiss, anyways.
Do you have to ask, Ralph?
What was it about Kiss that got you going? Was it everything, the full package, or was it the music, or was it their visual performance?
Oh yeah, it was the full package. For sure. But you know, they really had the music to back that. You know, like when I first started playing drums, you know, and I'd put on like Kiss Alive 2 and just sit there and drum with it. You know, I mean, I was nowhere close to that, obviously, but I would sit there and just mimic it and pretend, you know, I was on stage with those guys and just play it over and over again, you know. And then I progressed into other stuff too, you know, like Aerosmith. I think the first time I actually like learned a song, it was either Cheap Trick or Aerosmith were some of the where I first started when I was little, started dialing in, going, okay, I'm doing the kick and snare right. I'm hitting all the beats right, you know, and like Live at Budokan, I used to Cheap Trick. I played the hell out of that. And like, you know, in between the songs, you hear the crowd cheering. So after you get done practicing, you hear the crowd cheering, you're like, yeah, in your head as a little kid. So I definitely had a little, you know, rock star dreams when I was little, man. It was cool.
Well, dude, and as far as I'm concerned, you picked a good album with Kiss, because Creatures of the Night is such a great album. I know they got a lot of heat with all of the controversy that went behind that album, but dude, Saints and Sinners, and I used to crank that album night and day, dude.
Yeah, nice.
That one, and for whatever reason, that one and MTV Unplugged, those two I latched onto like nobody's business.
Oh wow,
I don't know why.
Interesting.
But, yeah,
dude,
weird.
I'm such a fan, and I don't even know if you guys know. I'm even a fan of the Elder album. So
how can you hate an album that gave you World Without Heroes?
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, sorry. It was me and Ralph were talking about that album not 2 weeks ago, and I said, "Is it a terrible album if it gave you one of their best songs ever?"
Exactly. Okay, cool.
We're on the same page, brother.
Oh shit! Hey, everybody, don't hate on Elder. It's good, kinda. I get it, but but stop.
Right.
So, what was the first band you were in? Were you a heavy influence on forming it, or were you just asked to join?
Yeah, I think from day one. I mean, I started when I was, you know, my early teens, but for sure, I will say I was the big motivator in putting a band together. Like, you know, I was in junior high or something, and I'd see someone that kind of had long hair, look cool, kind of cool. I'm like, dude, you got to play an instrument. It's like, I got drums. You know, I had like a crappy, you know, I've the Slinger. I think it was just like broken down Slingerland kit or whatever. And you know, I'm like, let's just jam. I don't care. I'm like, oh, your dad has a guitar. You don't know how to play. There's only 4 strings, you know, on a guitar, and you got an amp. Let's just try something. Let's play fucking Louie. You know,
you only need 3 strings for a power chord, bro.
Exactly. The first, it's funny because my first like official real show was when I was in high school. It was me, it was my brother, and my buddy Greg Barker, and we played. And go figure, it was called the Gong Show, a talent show at school in high school. I went to a Catholic school. And we played "Lick It Up" by Kiss
at a Catholic school. Holy shit!
And I mean, we probably made it 15 seconds before they gonged us, but we were solid, man. We practiced. I mean, if anybody knows Kiss, "Lick It Up," just. I mean, it's not the hardest song in the world to play, but. Man, when I played it and we practiced it, you know, 8 hours a day. My smile, boom. I was so happy. I was like, I'm in this for life. And, you know, and I just always pushed every band, you know, trying to do something like that, you know. And now I'm in a basement.
Well, the good thing is, Jason, it's your basement.
Yeah, right.
If you were in someone else's basement, then I'd be a little bit worried.
Right.
No, but it seems like you finally found, you know, your niche, and you picked up and you started running with it. Because I listened to some of the music from Emperors and Elephants, and I thought it was really good, man. I was really impressed with you guys.
Cool.
The music videos you guys did and stuff. Now, I don't know too much about prior to that history, but I thought that band was solid. And obviously it was, because Pavement Entertainment, a record label, also thought it was solid. So, you know what I mean? And I respect their judgment. I think they're doing good things. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
They seem like really down-to-earth guys that are just trying to get the business and keep the business rolling. You know.
Yeah.
What I mean? So.
Oh yeah, they totally help out. You know, not just bands like us, you know, that are just trying to, you know, get to that next level, but you know, I mean, they got like Headkey, you know, Puddle of Mud. I mean, these are bigger bands that have sold millions of albums, and they just got that band plush. You know, so it's like, and you're seeing the numbers go. It's like, yes, you know, once all this, you know, the COVID stuff goes away, you're going to start seeing this pop at your band. You know, most likely I'll be seeing you on tour. You know, everyone gets out there, you know, and they really help support that for sure.
Right on. So you had a good experience with the label.
Oh yeah. Those guys are great. Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, I hate to do it, man, but let's talk about what happened. So
Sure.
you guys, Emperors and Elephants, you guys got signed. How did that come about?
So yeah, like we were talking earlier, I've always, kind of been somewhat of a driving force in a band. I did my first tour in LA when I was 19 years old.
Nice.
And that was just me pushing, like, let's just do this. Mm-hmm. And then over the years, I slowly find other musicians that had that same, drive that I did. And early on, I was in a band called Monkeys with Handguns. We were kind of more of an industrial band, and I had some good friends in there. And one of my friends, who I actually was in a previous band with, Jeff Windish, who turned out to be my best friend over the years. We've known each other since our early 20s. Actually, we probably even before that, because I know we moved to LA. This is a way going off the topic here, but we've been friends forever. We've always been in bands together and whatnot. And then finally, with Emperors, we got back together. I was kind of like, I was almost, getting out of the music thing at the time, or just doing it for fun, do a cover band or something. I wouldn't even say cover band, because I don't think I'd ever do that, maybe. But anyway, so we just started writing some music, and then we started forming. And I've always been in part of the video world, and through my brother taught me a lot about editing and filming. He was a cameraman out in California, and he did a lot of editing. So he taught me a lot of that stuff. So I'd be a sponge, and I'd absorb everything. I'm like, how can I use this towards my music? And it's like, well, music videos, interviews, whatnot. So we used all that with Emperors, and we started demoing some songs. And Jeff, not only was he a great guitar player and writer, but he was a really good producer. Like, we would take, just demo stuff, and it would be, radio quality. And so I think we had like 2 or 3 songs, did a photo shoot. And I remember, for some reason, Tim King from Pavement came over, and I think because I was doing, not sidetracking again, but I think he came over because I was doing probably some laser work for Soil, some merch for him or something like that. And he was at my house, and I remember I just like, oh, hey man, I just hit play. He goes, who's this? And then like I put like one of the photos of the band on there. He's like, I'm like, this is us, man. He goes, huh? He goes, I'll never forget this. He goes, hey, dude. He goes, do 50 more shows and let's talk. And I I did about 50 more shows, pushed the hell out of it. We started getting a name. We started doing videos popping up. And that's when him and Mark were just like, are you guys interested? We're like, yeah. And that's when we came out with our first album, Devil in the Lake. And it was all our concept and all our music. And I'm really proud of that album, just because one, it being my first real legit album. And we did a remake song of Chris Isaak's Wicked Game. I was very proud of that.
Nice.
Some of my favorite music we've done is on there. And we got to do a remix of one of the songs. And I got to hire one of my favorite producers, Matt Mercado, to do a remix of that song. If anybody knows Matt, he's from back in the Chicago days. He's still around, but he's got a crazy awesome ear, and he just resampled and did a cool like dance party mix. Like I said, it was just a full package, all the artwork, everything. I was really happy with that. So that was pretty much the start, and then everything just kind of started snowballing from there.
So you guys were making some serious progress, huh?
Yeah, I think with what we had in our corner, we used every little aspect where we didn't really have to spend money, but we're pretty good with the internet, with filming, obviously recording, and we just hit every single little market and pushed everywhere. And then obviously once we got on Pavement, there was that push there. And the one thing I can always tell, and you being on Pavement, being a new artist, The only advice I can really give is just saying Pavement is going to back you as much work as you put into it. They're going to back you 100% on that. Because I've watched some bands get on there, a few years back. I'm not going to mention names, or I probably don't even remember their names, but they're like, yeah,
like why?
Like, well, we're signed now. Okay, let's just sit back and no. That's when the work. That's when you got to work. That's when you got to get out there and tour.
Yeah, the work
you
doubles
got to get
down.
a booking agent. You got to get management. You got to start doing all that stuff, and then really do that big push. And being a band that's not really well known, it's 5 times as hard. And getting on tours and whatnot.
I'm glad you mentioned that, dude, because a lot of musicians and bands, they don't get that part of it. They don't get that aspect of it.
Sure,
that is a part of it. And let me ask you this, because I'm pretty sure you're gonna hit the nail on the head as far as I'm concerned. There's an old saying. It's older than time, if you ask me. It takes money to make money, and
yes.
I think any business that you are trying to get off the ground, you have to invest into it. Do you not agree?
Yes. Okay. Oh God, yeah. Oh man, yeah. You can't walk away from that. You cannot do that. That's why, we did the first album. We toured for a few years, we got on some great bills, did some great fests, I never thought when I was, a 16, 17-year-old kid, I'd be opening for Judas Priest at a fest, and stuff like that. Or, I remember my old singer saying, hey dude, when we first started Emperors, he's like, man, I just want to open for Shinedown. I'm like, we haven't
who doesn't
we haven't done anything, but you know what, I go, just wait. And I think we played a fest with them, not that we were on the same stage, but we played. I'm like, hey, that still counts, right?
It still counts, yeah.
Well, isn't that the thing though? It's kind of counter.
It can happen, if you push hard enough, and you're good, it'll happen.
Yes, and I think it is, like you said, it's counterintuitive, because a lot of bands pushing really hard think, I got on the label, I can sail, because everybody's just going to pick up the slack and all I have to do is play. And it's just counterintuitive, because when you get on a label, all the label is saying is, we take notice. Now, are you supposed to be here? You need to show that you're supposed to be professional. And if there's tours, take them. And if you can't, find a way. And if you can't do that, then figure a way to get to the position you can.
Yes.
But
smart,
really,
yes.
it's the band's decision, isn't it? I mean, if they get signed, it's their choice to pick up the slack or their choice to skate.
Yep.
Success or failure is in their hands at that point, because they've done the legwork to get the notice, right?
Right. And book your summer tours, a year beforehand too. That's always something I get, because everyone's like, how do I get on a fest this summer? I'm like, well, you're not going to, because it's already booked last year.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's true. They do book everything in advance. Absolutely. And we're dealing with Tim all the time now from the label.
Sure.
So, he sends everybody opportunities, and, some of them are really good opportunities. And if you don't act on it quickly, you're going to get left in the dirt, or in the dust. I'm sorry, not the dirt.
Right.
That's the competition aspect. People think, oh, it's us against them, but it's not. It's just like, there's a lot of bands fighting, and there's only a certain amount of spots. You got to be on top of things and ready, because if you ain't, somebody is just going to pick it up and go.
Yep. Oh yeah. No, I remember when we were touring Emperors, I seen a lot of bands on our same level, on pavement, not on pavement, but we all, we would all kind of do the same group, tour area, same same package deals, or just see, cross paths, be at a show in Texas and be like, oh, you guys are on this bill, whatever, or, cool stuff like that. But then you see a lot of the bands disappear. But some of those bands I still see that are pushing out there and doing really, really good.
Yeah.
And because they're smart, and they got a leader in that band that's smacking them around saying, just come on, we can do this. Just hang in there. It's going to happen.
You're saying you're that guy.
Oh.
Meaning you're the one that has the focus, like, we have to push.
I don't want to be. I want the whole band to be that way.
Right.
And, usually, you could get a couple guys like that, like with Emperors, like when I was with Jeff and I, we were the same, man. We both pushed. We both had, things to do. That was the thing too, is like everybody in your band should have something to do. I took care of the booking ends and, the management end and all that. But Jeff, I let him take care. I'm like, dude, you take care of the music end. You take care of the studio end, all that. Ron, our bass player, I'm like, you take care of the vehicle. You take care of the trailer. You make sure we have, extra tires, and then we have one crew guy, my buddy Mike, and he was dedicated. He's always dedicated. It's like, you take care of all the hotels, all the driving, all that stuff. And then once you get all that, it makes it a lot easier on me, easier on everybody else. Everybody's got a little thing to do. And then you become that well-oiled machine. And then you can, nothing's going to really stop you.
Well,
until your van breaks down.
Well, exactly, right? No shit. That's a whole different topic right there. But let me ask you this, going along with what you were saying, does that include behind the scenes where it comes to the business side of things? Do you include everyone in your band in that and give everybody a job? Or is that something that you think maybe specific individuals in the band, such as yourself, and maybe, like you said, your guitar player, Jeff, was perfect for that role, but maybe not everybody's right for it? So social media push, that's another thing. You know what I mean? So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're saying like with the Meudt or with what I do?
No, I'm saying within a band, like you said, you got a well-oiled machine if everybody's got a job. You know what I'm saying? So, but when it comes to behind the scenes, trying to get the band out there in a big way and push, because obviously any band can record music, any band, and you could have great music. Hell, you could have a massive radio hit on your hands.
Right.
But if nobody hears it and nobody knows you exist, what good is it going to do? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know what I mean? It's like that whole thing. If a bear shits in the wood, does anybody hear it? Probably.
Right.
Not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And that's, we did everything on our end as much as we could to push out. But that was one thing, to get back, like a little bit on Pavement is like when we signed with them, I got things I didn't really know. We got a publicist and then they helped us get a booking agent. These are things that I kind of lacked in. And because of the publicist, that's where you started getting, your interviews and radio play. And we did kind of notice, on our first album, Devil in the Lake, one of our songs was getting, the radio play. And we were kind of noticing, it's like when we're on tour, we'd be in South Texas and we're like, why are we here? And we'd show up and there'd be a room full of people that know the words to the song. And that's I'll never forget that, looking down, seeing people sing our stuff, and it's just a cool feeling. And that little shit like that's kind of what makes it all worthwhile for me, out of the other hours and hours sitting in the van and smelling everybody and hotels and all that stuff. I you've heard all that before. You guys live it.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about what happened.
Sure. Yeah.
You guys were on tour with Lynch Mob, yes?
We did, yeah. So we were, it's a few 4 years ago, about 3.5 years ago, I think, we were finishing up all our summer dates, and believe it or not, this was our last show we had booked. And we had a show in Minnesota, and we got asked to open up for Lynch Mob. And it was just like, it was a good pay, good everything, like, all right, let's do it. It was Jeff, my guitar player's birthday. We had a show that wasn't too far the day before. We played a fest. I'm like, everything aligned perfect, it's like, okay. And then we're just going to roll in to this show. I remember I got an extra hotel room for Jeff and I, just because it was his birthday, and it's like, hey, we don't have to share beds, whatever, let's relax. I remember precisely, we were sitting there watching, in the hotel room, just watching the Olympics and just having a just making jokes, having the best time. Go to sound check. Everything's cool. The guys in Lynch Mob are all nice to us, everything. And we played our set, and they gave us a longer set, which was cool. It was the band Matricus opened. They're from Minnesota. They're good friends of ours. So it was like a really cool family vibe. We had a lot of friends out, and we got off stage, and we're all enjoying and everything. And I just remember Mike, our tour manager, came over to me and just told me, he goes, "Hey, something's wrong with Jeff." And I'm just like, I'm thinking, okay, what's up? And 10 feet away, we get through the crowd, and Jeff, he's on the ground, and there's nothing, and so I don't want to get so much into that part of it, but yes, we did call 911, and later we went back, we did go to the hospital, and he was pronounced dead. Actually, at the club, they pretty much said that's when he perished. And it was to see that, and to be there, it was so difficult, and it's something I still deal with on a daily basis. Not that it's it's your best friend, not just a musician, a guy in the band. It's your best friend that this happens to you in front of, and you're right there, and and you're not at home. His wife was not there, and one thing it's like, it blows my mind. It's like he was supposed to go to China like the next week, and we're just like, man, what happened if it happened there? If it was just something that was going to happen, or I play that scenario in my head every day 100 times. What if, and I have sat down and talked to his wife, Melissa, about it. And, I haven't talked to her in a while, but we do text once in a while. And, he's got a daughter. She's a beautiful girl. And, she wants to know more about her dad and whatnot. And I think she's getting into music more, the heavier stuff, which is cool. And if she's got anything that Jeff's got, she should be an excellent musician, because I've never seen somebody as good as him, guitar playing and writing. But yeah, like I said, to get back on it, that was honestly the heaviest thing, and dealing with it every day and moving on. And basically to go a little further, we already had our second album recorded, Moth. And I was done. I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to do any of this anymore. And then when I talked to, the guys in the band and Jeff's wife, they said it'd be stupid not to put the album out. I mean, literally everything was done. Music, mastered, artwork, all that. Fuck. And so we actually had, I had so many people pull together and help me out. The producer, Scott Wilson, he plays in, he was in, I think, Tantric at the time, but he plays in Saving Abel now. Really good friend of mine. He helped out a lot. Tim and Mark from Pavement helped out a ton. My buddy George Pavich just went and did the artwork. Just went and did it, knocked it out for me, and I'm like, this is great. The artist Seven did a lot of the logo, did a bunch of the interior. I mean, I just had so many people helping out. And, I even actually, I wanted to do as big of a memorial or tribute, let's say tribute to Jeff as possible. We put the album out, actually did a music video. I shot it for one of our songs. I had raw footage of Jeff from a past video I never used, and I was actually able to sequence up. The song's called Porcelain Kiss, so if you ever look on there, that was all footage from, obviously previous to Jeff, but the footage of the other three of us, I shot, after. And I filmed it, I edited it, I don't think I've gone back and watched it since. And then we put the album out, and we actually had we got a guitar player to help us out, and do a small tour to really push it. And after that, I was just kind of done. I'm like, it's not the same without Jeff. You know, I love Emperors. I love the history. I love everything about it. But I kind of walked away. I'm like, okay, I did everything I possibly can, I think, to help tribute Jeff and all the work he's done in this band. And yeah, and then that's pretty much where I left. And then fast forward a couple of years and I started up again. So
yeah. Wow, that's a heavy story, brother.
My God, man.
That's a heavy story,
yeah. I haven't said that in a while, so yeah.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I was thinking about it while you were talking about it. I was like, wow. I was kind of going through it with you and thinking about my own circumstances, and I'm like, wow.
Sure.
You know what I mean? What would I have done if that happened to me? Trying to put myself in your shoes. That's heavy, dude.
That really is like a big thing. I mean, musicians are home so little during touring and stuff. Like, that's a very big possibility for all of us at the time when you're out there. It's like,
right?
Fuck.
Yeah.
You know, that's when shit gets a little real, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You don't learn that until you're out there where, you know, you miss, you know, God, I miss so many weddings, so many, you know, birthdays or whatever, and stuff like that, holidays, you know, and just, but I have no problem. I don't, you know, I never look back and go, oh, I wish I was, I mean, it would be nice to be at a lot of those things, but it's like, man, my passion, I always love playing. I love being on stage. I love being on stage with Jeff, you know, and it was just such a high that I loved. And I loved the music we had and whatnot. So it's just something, you know, being out of town, you don't realize that how much you really miss until you're really gone.
Yeah.
Was it your choice to put Emperors and Elephants to rest, so to speak?
Our guitar player, Anthony, he was a cool, awesome guitar player. He kind of stepped back because he kind of knew, you know, I think he probably saw in me, you know, that I wasn't really into it as much. You know, I didn't push it as much, and but I still keep in touch with Ron, my old bass player. He was, you know, he's still a really, really good friend and really good support, you know. But no, I feel like I said, I think we did what we had to, you know. And just so you know, people are always asking, is you ever getting back? No, I have no desire to get back and try rehashing Emperors anymore. You know, I moved on from there for sure. Gotcha. You know, I mean, I loved what I did, but I don't see ever trying it. I'm getting too old to try and go and do all that again.
I hear you, brother. The only reason I asked is because I noticed that you guys got quite a bit of publicity on what happened. You know, it got media attention, so to speak. Yeah. And so I saw that it was on Livewire. I think it was on Blabbermouth, and that kind of attention can elevate a band. You know what I mean? Because it gets more eyes on your product, what you do. Right. And so I was just curious to see if you at any point of time decided, well, maybe we should keep going, or if it was a personal decision for you to just move on and do something different.
Yeah, nah, I mean, my intentions was to keep going on. I mean, I didn't care so much about, I don't know, like, you know, I mean, like selling records or whatever. I just wanted to keep the music going. But honestly, I mean, we kept it going for probably a year or so, and maybe a little more. But I think we only wrote like one song, you know, over that time. It's like there was nothing new really going, nothing flowing. And we really didn't practice much. And, you know, I would book shows and we wouldn't practice before the show or something like that. And it just was getting, I mean, to me, I mean, I'm not speaking for the other guys. To me, it felt like, and partial my fault, but it felt like it was just getting a little sloppy. And I just wasn't all there, you know, and, you know, the other guys were more than like, you know, or more like more, you know, they're more than welcome to keep going on and play that music, you know, that's not a problem. But, you know, I don't know if they would or wouldn't without me, you know. I mean, I am a drummer. Drummers are a little easier to replace, I guess, but
I don't know, man. It's kind of difficult to replace drummers, actually. But I think all musicians are difficult to replace because the entire idea of replacing someone, I don't know. You know what I mean? If you got together with someone and you formed something, I can totally understand it. I get it. My band now, the original guitarist passed away. He didn't pass away while he was with the band, though. So it's not the same situation. We actually, but still, you know what I'm saying? He was the guy that was writing the songs with me in the beginning.
Yeah.
So I totally get where you're coming from, you know, and I can totally respect, you know, if you're just not feeling it anymore and you need to move on. So based on that, let's talk about what you did move on to. Before we get into the other stuff, because there's something special that Jason does, and we want to talk about that as well. But let's talk about your new band, Stradlin Rosie, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that. How'd that come together?
So, it's funny because Brian, my singer, I've known him probably since I was probably like 19 or 20, just through the scene. He was always in a band. I was always in a different band. But I think we've always admired each other, and I know we've used to play together a lot, or not a lot, but you know, up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, we do shows together because that's where they're based out of. He was in a different band, I was in a different band at the time, and then just over the years, we kind of always touched base. And I always knew, I'm like, he's just a nice fucking guy. Like, he's a really good, genuine guy, and he is the real deal for a front man. I mean, you want a good rock star singer, you know, front man. I'm like, he always had that. And then to top it off, the guy can sing too. So you have to get that package deal. And he's smart, you know, and he's an intelligent guy. And so about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years, probably, I think it'll be in July, maybe 2 years. I got a call. Actually, it was probably a few months before that. Brian would kind of, you know, hit me up once in a while, just talk a little bit, not really bring up the band thing, but I knew what he was what he's trying to do. And I did get hit up by, I mean, just tons of bands, not ton, but, you know, good amount of bands, some really good bands, but I just turned everything down. I just was not feeling it. Didn't want to do it. Didn't, you know, it's getting lazy, whatever. And then I always say, Brian must have hit me. I must have had a couple cocktails or something that night or something when he called. And I was just like, screw it, man. I'll just come out. I'll bring my drums. Let's rock, you know, because he was so positive in the phone call and just said, dude, let's just, you know, nothing on paper. Let's just jam, you know. So I went to the practice spot, and I already knew Rob, the guitar player, who's now my guitar player. He played in some previous bands that I played out with before when I was in Emperors. And I've actually met him a few times. We messaged a few times over different things over the years. I always liked him. I'm like, he's a really nice guy. And then I really started to hone in on his guitar playing. I'm like, wow, he's an amazing, amazing guitar player. And then my bass player, Eddie, Cadillac Eddie, I mean, he's a Guy's
got a nickname. Cool.
Yeah. He's that diamond on the rough bass player. I'm like, I did not know that bass players can possibly play like that. And I really had to work to, you know, I mean, they said I was in the band, but I really had to, like, you know, I had to get my chops going because when I was in Emperors, I always had a click track going, you know, so, you know, we had sequences going and all that we programmed. So all our songs, exact same time, starting song, beginning, exactly 4 minutes, 10 seconds, whatever. You know, I knew exactly how long our set is. Here, we'll start jamming. All of a sudden, it's like my guitar player. I'm like, we're supposed to switch back to the verse, and he's still soloing. And it was a little difficult the first few weeks, maybe in the first few months. But then I'm like, I started getting it. I'm like, oh man, we're grooving. This is kind of cool because this is totally different style of playing than what I was doing. I was doing in Emperors, I was doing more straightforward, you know, kind of heavy, whatever. Now it's kind of like I'm bringing out like, getting some Zeppelin, AC/DC, Black Crowes influence. And it's the less is more factor. I'm not doing as much, but I'm like, wow. And then I started finding myself becoming actually a better drummer just in this little time that I've been in the band, because everybody is such a good musician. And when we get to practice, we just literally start working, and then we'll just keep working and then work on different parts and just hone in on it. And we don't spend any time fighting. And that's the biggest thing. We save hours and hours a week not fighting or arguing. And I'm like, this is great. I'm actually going to just play drums and I don't have to fight. And I love these guys.
That's pretty classic, dude.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a fun ride. Unfortunately, it's funny because we had our first 2 shows last year sold out. We did one. We opened up for there's huge band out of Texas. They're an AC/DC tribute band called Back in Black, and they flew out just for a one-off show in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. I'm like, who the hell is going to come up to Elkhorn, Wisconsin to see a tribute band? And it was the biggest blizzard day ever that year.
Oh, crap.
And I think it was where they had like, their, it was just like, what the hell? It like a big farm kind of thing or something like that, where they have the fair, the county fair or something. And they put us in this big warehouse. I'm like, no one's going to be here. Sure as shit, man. During this blizzard, I look out the window there and there's a line, going around the block. And I heard it was sold out. I was just an ocean of people. Great show. A couple weeks later, we do a show. We got to open for Y&T, which is something a band I never would have opened for before. But with these guys, we fit in that genre. And that was, I believe, was a sold out show. I'm like, okay, we got these 2 under our belt. We kicked ass. And then boom, pandemic hits, everything stops. So I just had that taste, but we're starting to get it back. We just played a couple weeks ago and had a packed show.
Right on. Well, what do you got? What just out of curiosity, what is the goal with this band?
Okay, so the goal, we're writing. We have all original material, and we're going to record. Actually, we were supposed to record at the end of this month. I think it got pushed, but we're going to do that. We're still going to be in talks with Pavement. Tim and I just kind of, he mentioned a little bit because they've seen us play and there was some interest there. But right now, I just want us just be tight and be ready and have a nice promo pack and just get ready. I'm purchasing a van. I got the trailer. I have full intention for us to get out there and get a name out there and get back on the radio, as much as we can with what we got to work with. I don't see why not. We're all good musicians, and we're all, everybody's still, we're all.
Are you all driven? Are you all driven though, bro? Are you all driven?
Yes, everybody in this freaking band is freaking driven. Well, I love it because my guitar player Rob, his day job, he works for School of Rock, so he gets to sit there and practice guitar all day, and then he gets to come to practice, and then so he's always. Oh, I guarantee he's got a guitar in his hand right now. Same with my bass player. I guarantee he is sitting there with his bass, learning his stuff. Me, on the other hand, I haven't touched my drums since the last show, but.
Please tell me it's because you've been working on new merch ideas and not because you've been on Pornhub.
That's fucking great.
Well, how do you know he hasn't been using Pornhub to work on merch ideas? Dude, multitask like a motherfucker. I'm just saying.
I stand corrected, sir. I didn't realize. Very a lot of good ideas, but I gotta say, bro. This is a perfect segue because I think that the merch that you make is fucking fantastic, dude.
Hell yeah.
I was like, wow, this is where it's at right here. So I got to ask you, was this was this planned out strategically by you? Did you like spend time thinking, what will people buy? What will tickle their fancy, so to speak? You know, what's going to grab them by the boo-boo? You know what I mean? So that because that's what we need, right? Merch is how bands make money for the most part. Right? So what was the tell me the story, bro?
Well, I'll do it as quick as possible to tell you how I got into it. I used to actually be a partner with my dad doing concrete work, believe it or not, for a ton of years. We were partners. I was making, some great money, whatnot. And every year we would fly down to Vegas. They had the World of Concrete convention. Yes, they actually have a concrete convention for that. And it's pretty fucking big too.
Concrete Con.
And I just remember one year I seen a laser engraver there, and I seen them etching onto like stone and wood and stuff like that. And I'm like, I was just trying to think, because I've always liked doing creative stuff. Like when I was doing concrete work, I like doing stamped concrete or coloring it. I always like trying to do a little bit more. And for some reason, this engraver just kind of blew me away. So fast forward a year, actually got the machine, started out thinking, okay, I'll do mom and pop, or not mom and pop, like, like do fairs and do church things and school awards and all that. And I did that, and it was fine and all that. And I actually made a couple bucks on that. But then I was like, well, why don't I do something that I actually know? And what I did is I started taking dog tags, anodized aluminum dog tags. And I started going, this was the year of MySpace, years of MySpace. I would go onto bands' MySpace sites. I would get their logo, and I would laser engrave it. And then I would take a picture of it, and then I would send it to them. And they'd be like, holy shit, what do you do this? How do I do this? And so I started out like working like the band Dope. I remember that was one of the first bands that I did that they started doing, and that kind of snowballed to a lot of those style bands.
Oh, damn.
And then I don't know if you remember from the 90s, there was a band Tough out of LA. Stevie Rochelle is the owner of metalsludge.com or .tv, and is a singer of Tough. And I sent some stuff to him, and he loved it. And he hooked me up. He was working with Bam Margera at the time. So he hooked me up with Bam from the Jackass stuff. And I started doing some merch for their bands. And then it started getting the bigger bands. And all of a sudden I'm starting to get work from like Seven Dust.
God damn.
And Queensryche and then Megadeth. And it's like, nice. Oh man, it's starting to get a 3 Days Grace. It's starting to get, and it's so funny because when I first started doing it, I'm like, I'm going to put this out there and somebody's going to kick my ass within 6 months, whatever. But, 18 years later, I'm still doing it. And you said you've seen, the stuff I'm doing, it's not stopping. And I'm always 10 feet ahead of everybody. That's what I always say. I'm always on to the next thing, thinking of something, it's funny. I'm sitting here drinking my coffee, and not to do a plug, whatever, but Charlie Benante
plug away, brother.
He had me do some coffee mugs for his coffee. This is just a prototype, so you can see it first here.
Dude, those are so fucking sick.
This is something we worked on.
God damn.
Very cool, dude. So you started out as a MySpace spammer.
Yeah.
Then in the middle somewhere, you ended up working with a bunch of jackasses, and then well, you said you worked with the jackass, yeah. and then you started working with some real bands like Dope and Seven Dust, and
sure.
You were making some real progress. I love the stuff you do. I'm a customer now.
Yeah,
I'm a client.
Thanks.
We are definitely going to be getting a lot of merch from you. But
nice.
It's an easy sell, bro. All you got to do is send somebody a picture. So I was just kidding about the spam thing. That was a great idea.
Yeah,
that was
100%.
a great idea. That's absolutely how you get people. How you pull them in. And so, but I got to ask you, at some point did you did you sit there maybe while you guys were playing shows and touring, did you look to see what people were most interested in while you were, because you know, you've got this merchandise company on the side, but you're in a band and you know what I mean? So it's, you know, are you looking at it from that perspective or?
For sure. One thing I started doing, I had a buddy, one of my buddies come over, and he was a guitar tech for Soil, believe it or not, Squiggy. And he came over one time because he's a carpenter, and he had a band. I don't know if he's still in that band, but he just asked me once. He goes, dude, he goes, I got like $100 to spend. Can you just throw together some stuff? I'm like, oh, you know, yeah, I should start doing like package deals. Like I just did as much stuff where I kind of did the math and all that. I'm like, hey, this is about $100 deal, but you're saving money. So I started doing these package deals, and being in a band, I know that for a fact that bands don't make money. So I keep my price very low, and I'm technically the only employee. I mean, my mother helps me out with all the billing and stuff. I send her and she'll help me with invoices and whatnot. My girlfriend helps me out with invoices, but I just started doing like I said, the deals, and they just started doing really well, because it's like when bands go out, it's like I figured out what sells best on the merch table. I also found out what is best to carry, you know, because I'm sure you've played out of town plenty. You know, if you have glass, you got to put it somewhere, you know, just stuff that you can pack away in a box you can make a lot of money off of and pay for your, you know, your next gas stop or your next hotel or whatnot, you know. And I found out a lot of bands, you know, I just keep getting reorders. And one thing I also do, I find out a lot of bands, they'll be on the road and they'll hit me up and they're like, I sold out the first day. Like Saliva is a big band that I work with. In fact, I just was talking with Bobby and the singer, and he, you know, they're finally going back out again. So he's like, I need an order. And I'm just kind of like, well, what size order do you want to put? Because I know you're going to sell out right away. And then I'll find like their drop zones, like when on tour. I'm like, okay, you'll be in Chicago this date. If you need it to reply, you know, I'll just come out and hand. That's the cool thing too, is I'll go to the shows and, you know, here I'm bringing you merch. They're paying me cash. I get in for free. I hang out with the band and I drink for free.
Dude, you got it all figured out.
He hacked the system, ladies and gentlemen.
Jason has a good working system.
But
Right?
Jason, let me ask you this though. Since you're in a band and since you've worked in merch, right? What would you suggest, like when a band starts, how soon should they start working on getting merch out on the tables? Like a band starts, they got a good set list, they're starting to play live shows.
Oh, like, I mean, the second you have the first, when you're playing out, if you have a demo on that table, because I mean, it's almost like you didn't play if you don't have some kind of merch on the table there, because you might be the greatest band opening for someone, but if you don't have anything there to give a dog tag or CD or t-shirt, they might forget about you, forget the band name when the bigger band comes on, right. You know, especially when you play those fests. There's that window when you get off stage. And this is one of my mottos I've always said to my bands. And the second we're off stage, you know, obviously get your gear off stage. That's one thing. That's a big thing. It's like, always respect the other bands. Get your shit off stage. Don't tear it down. Just get it off. Let the next band get on there. Don't waste time. I've always been good at that. And then get straight to the merch table. You have that 20-minute, 25-minute window till the next band goes on to sell yourself, to really push. That's where you're going to get your name out there, sign autographs, take pictures, you know. And then when the next band goes on, give that band respect, let them play, you know, and then after the show, you know, go back to the merch table, start pushing more. And I mean, literally that's got us through quite a few years on tour where it's like, okay, we made, you know, I mean, there's nights where we made some really insane money. I'm like, we made that much money on merch, more money. Well, say more money than what we get paid, but we never really got paid a lot. But I mean, where we were very comfortable with it. It's like, okay, we can all have dinner tonight.
Right.
You know, so it does. Yeah, I do get back to your question. Yes, I think it's super important to have, not just pushing my end of the merch, but yeah, have a CD out there. That's your most important thing, with your name, your website. That's first, you know, it's usually CD, t-shirt. And then that's when people go, hey, I got the basics. Now what do you have to throw on? It's like, well, I have stuff, you know, it's like, if somebody only has, you know, $4 or $5, you can buy this. If they want something that's $50, they can buy that, you know, because you're going to get those fans when you come back. You know, they're going to be like, I already have a t-shirt. Now I want something else. So,
well, what would you say is the most popular item that you put out there?
You know, it's funny you asked that, because it does change once in a while. I mean, dog tags is probably always my number one thing. I've done tens and tens of thousands of those. Flasks, believe it or not, are a big seller. People like to have those. I do little 6-ounce flasks. Shot glasses are always big.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff with anything with the drinking are big. But
especially now, right?
Have you seen an increase? Have you seen an increase since the recent times on demand for more weed stuff, like pipes, grinders, shit like that?
I do grinders. Yes. I do sell a lot of the grinders. I got these little ones. They're pretty nice. They're, I think, 4-chamber.
Look at you.
Yeah, those
Fancy
sell
schmancy.
well.
I was just saying. I was just saying the 4 chambers are the fancy ones.
That is killer, man. That you were able to do that and figure that out, because how many musicians actually like look at, okay, well, there's other options here. You know what I mean? I can go out there, do what I love, play music, maybe hopefully make some money, sell some merch, and gain some exposure. But what else can I do to get involved in this business? And I think that you nailed it in a big way. And I think it's huge. You know what I mean?
Thanks. Yeah.
You're a self-starter, dude. And we respect that. We looked into what you were doing, and we were like, we got to have this guy on our podcast. This guy is awesome, dude. Not only a killer drummer, but he's, you know what I mean, great bands that you're in, and also the fact that, you know, you put together a really killer merchandise shop for bands that's incredibly affordable. Plug that for us right now, please. Where can you find your stuff?
Just go to lazerengraveart.com is my website. Laser's with an S. Some people think it's with a Z, but it's lazerengraveart.com. And then, you know, if you find me on Facebook, I'm just Jason Meudt, Meudt, you know, on Facebook. But to get back, I just want to jump in real quick. What you were saying. One other thing that I did to kind of help me kind of move forward is I really didn't mention is probably about 14 years ago, because I kind of mentioned I dabbled in filming, and then that kind of became a big thing too, where I was like, oh shit, I'm actually making a living off this with the engraving. And I kind of got lucky, and I fell into working with Dean Guitars out of Tampa, Florida. And that's where a lot of stuff really, really helped for me, because I started doing, like, anytime a Dean artist would come to like Chicago or Wisconsin on tour, I'd go in there and I'd film them, do an interview with them. I got to actually write the questions, talk about their guitar and about their tour and all that. But once in a while, you know, I'd already have a dog tag me, go, here you go.
Oh, nice.
You know, they thought that was kind of cool. And then one thing that Dean also did is for about 13, 14 years, they took me out to the NAMM convention, and we used to do a live feed. So I just met so many people, and I became so many friends out there. And I literally would go out there, and people would be like, hey, Jason, are you going to be doing the live webcast at the Dean booth this year? I'm like, yeah. They're like, can I put an order in just to save on shipping? And, you know, so I'd bring out like a bunch of merch for them. They'd come, we'd do an interview at the Dean booth. They'd buy merch from me. You know, it just kind of, I just always been kind of in the music, this circle, you know, it's just what I know. It's what I do. It's what I'm good at. And I don't know anything else.
It's where you're supposed to be, brother.
Absolutely.
Right. I'll never have a real job, I don't think.
Thank God, man. Those things are overrated.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Jason, it was awesome having you on the podcast today, brother.
Yeah, this is great.
Real quick, where can we find your new band?
StradlinRosie.com. And we're also on the you got the website, got the Facebook, everything. If you go to my page, I usually link everything on there. But I've got nothing booked right now, but yeah, like I was telling you earlier, I have full intention to really push the shit out of this.
You guys have a record out?
No, they just got they had an EP before I came in. But now that I'm in, and we wrote all new material, so it's just all in the works. We feel comfortable to get back in the studio, or to get in the studio, and just start making some music, and then doing what we're all trying to do.
And I'm sure you'll have a big part in the music video and all that. So that's pretty cool, man. Yeah. Very cool, dude. You are inspiring, to say the least, because
awesome.
How many musicians do you know, me personally, I don't know very many, that are willing to like step outside of their comfort zone and their role in the band and do a lot more,
right?
To develop their craft. So mad respect to you, brother.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Well, we'd like to have you on again, brother. Once your band develops a little more, we'll have you on again. And also, I'd like to put in an order for some merch.
Yeah. I'll hook you up, man.
No doubt. Jason, it was super nice meeting you, man. We'll have you have you back on, brother.
Dude, thank you guys so much. This means a real lot to me. It's been a while. I haven't really done any interviews over the pandemic, so it's just really cool to get back and good guys like you, man. We're all in this together, so I really appreciate it. And, you guys just understanding, the struggle of being a musician and whatnot. And it's your passion. You're not going to stop. You don't care.
Yeah, we don't have a choice, do we?
Is real, brother.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, go check out Jason's products. Go check out Stradlin Rosie. Go check out our other segments of A Lot's Happened Since Yesterday on our new channel and our new network. If you haven't, check out Radio God Reacts. Check out Listen to the Record. Check out this episode. Check out previous episodes. And until next time, Ralphie, what were you going to say, brother?
I was just going to say, don't forget, guys, subscribe. Hit that bell so that you get the notifications.
Yep.
Comment, hit the like button. Help us grow, guys.
Yep.
I know a lot of you guys are watching, but it's time for you guys to come out of your shell and start adding to it. Because if you want us to continue to do this, we're not doing this for ourselves. We're not trying to get famous. We're musicians who happen to love the arts. And what we're trying to do is propel the people that are creating the arts and everybody that are involved on some level, whether it be music, movies, television, anything that has anything to do with entertainment. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here. We're trying to expose people that are gems. You know what I mean?
Like this crazy motherfucker right here. This guy's out of his
mind.
This
dude right here is a gem. And so that's what I'm saying. We're just sharing and putting the light on those people. And that's it. So, and we're having a lot of fun doing it.
Fuck yeah.
All we want you guys to do is to join in, be a part of our tribe.
Yep. We're growing, people. We're growing. Shout out to all the people who are checking and noticing.
We are very lucky. We have some very cool people in our camp. Tim, and Mark from Pavement Entertainment. Yep. Those guys are awesome. We have Mark Thompson from the Mark and Brian show. He does a show with us now, a segment with us. So cool to have that guy with us.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Such an amazing entertainer, and it's an honor to work with him. Also, Muncie Ricci, that guy's been in the business forever, pushing bands and getting them on the radio. And it's such an honor to be working with him as well. So check out those shows, Radio God Reacts, and listen to the record. And always check out A Lot's Happened Since Yesterday.
Absolutely.
Jason, you rock, brother.
Fuck yes, dude.
I'm going to hit you up, okay?
Yeah.
All right, bro. I'll talk to you
Awesome,
soon,
guys.
brothers.
Later,
Thanks
Jay.
for coming on, bro.
Rock on,
Appreciate
man.
having
Love
you,
it.
man.
Peace, everybody.
Later, guys.